Welcome back to the program. Obviously, the City Council gets a fair bit of discussion time on this program. And Brian, do you think the City Council is giving us good value for money?
Well, I've had the privilege, I suppose, of living in a number of cities. And I have to say that whenever I travel and whenever I talk, I hold the flag up for the Christchurch City Council. I think by world standards, by New Zealand standards, this town has got a quite remarkable history of good local governance. Sure, there are problems, sure we have our fights, but comparatively, I think the Republic of Christchurch, is that what it is called? The Republic of Christchurch, has, I think, been served relatively well by its councils. That doesn't mean to say that I haven't got my gripes, but I do think if you stand back and look at it from the point of view of local governance, it's not too bad.
Should they be getting into commercial activities like the airport and the Port of Littleton and things?
Now you've asked the wrong person that. I'm an unashamed social democrat, and I do believe in communities being involved not just in their schools but also in their businesses, and I have no difficulty with it whatsoever. And I know I'm putting a line in the sand by saying that.
You glanced at John Walley, didn't you?
I'm very conscious that I may be running into difficulty, but I have to say that I would be prepared to go into quite an argument and a discussion in defence of it.
I'm sure you'll probably get one, actually. Andrea, is it uncharted waters as far as you're concerned?
Unfortunately, Brian, you've got one on the other side as well, actually. I would not like to see them actually get involved with the port or the airport. I really want to see the council come back to basics. The example with this whole Garden City, with the Garden City, the $55,000 saving per year to take away 150 bins, that's just one, I suppose, to use Brian's description, a gripe. But I just think I would like to see our council actually go back to basics and actually hear what they stand for. And yeah,
John,
so
you
that's
must
where I
be
am.
sorry, you're twitching almost.
No, I wouldn't say twitching. I see the council's long-term and annual plan process go through every year, and generally the submissions to council go, we need more, we need more, we need more, we need more. Usually there are two submissions that say we need less. One's from the chamber and one's from ourselves. And I guess if you look at the core spending of the council, upkeep of the roads, infrastructure and the like, that probably accounts for 80–85% of council spend. And it's completely non-contentious. The bits around the edges, the $55,000 on the bins, frankly, isn't material. It's just one of those things we all like to argue about. Now, I'm not necessarily against council intervening on behalf of the community in certain commercial areas. For example, building the engine test centre out at the airport for Pratt & Whitney, and then leasing it back to Pratt & Whitney. Pratt & Whitney keeping the jobs in Christchurch, keeping the skills base in Christchurch is highly positive. I think the jury's out with regard to the airport and the port, and there should be more public debate about that, because these are commercial activities that should be commercial activities, and maybe the council shouldn't be part of those. That's the debate. We're back to the media again. It needs more debate. We shouldn't be there because they happen to be there. We should be there because it makes sense for the community to be there.
And I would just add one comment, that when the City Council owned the electricity company, my electricity cost a lot less than it does now.
That is another real conversation. That's one about what have we done with the electricity system. Again, we look at the electricity system in the 80s and 90s. We saw it over-engineered and gold-plated, so we needed to break it up and make it a market. So we replaced the engineers and the gold-platedness with a bunch of economists trying to make a market where one doesn't really exist. So there are some things about, if it's a monopoly and it smells like a monopoly and it looks like a monopoly and it really is a monopoly, then there's an argument for state ownership or community ownership.
Why do we seriously have buses and talk about trains and things as for commuters in Christchurch when Canterbury doesn't have it in their psyche?
Doesn't have it what?
I don't think that we actually sort of, as a society, Christchurch doesn't seem to use public transport.
And yet I saw an article in the paper just this week that the use of our buses has gone up something like 75%. Is that right? Since the bus lanes have gone in? I mean, there was some phenomenal figure that was...
But if you've got a very small base, 75% increase isn't still very much, is it?
But I think that that's a feature of New Zealand. We are a car-based society, and we don't have the public infrastructure that is attractive enough, I think, for all of us to use. Once again, it would probably require the sort of investment that certainly private enterprise wouldn't give to bring it to the level that you have in London or Sydney or Melbourne. But I tell you what, if this town had kept its trams, we would have been world famous.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Andrea, you haven't said very much in this part. Well, you haven't been able to get a word in, have you? But
oh, no, it's enjoyable, but it's great, and this is what we should be doing, is debating it. I mean, after this, we will shake each other's hands, it'll be fine, but the more debate needs to be, as John said, we need to hear more about it as far as, and I agree, the communities, I love Littleton, the port. Of course it needs some assistance to make it attractive for the visitors that are coming here on the cruise ships and so forth. The airport, there's a couple of eyesores with the land that's around there, we know, with the black tarpaulins and all that sort of thing. I don't say that we shouldn't have some assistance from the council, but I just feel it should be openly debated. Transparent is a word I'd like to use for our city council. I'd love them to be transparent, Rob.
Transparent, I think we would all agree on that point, wouldn't we? Indeed. Thank you very much indeed. John Walley, Brian Pauling, and our own CTVs, Andrea. We'll be back with another NewsMakers at the same time next week. Until then, bye now.